On today's show,
can anyone beat the new look Warriors? Who wants Melo? And is D'Angelo Russell going to be an all-star snub?
3D Dennis Scott joins us to preview the Blazers Thunder matchup on NBA TV.
And divine intervention lands Curry in our long weekend whoopsie.
It's Tuesday, January 22nd. The starter starts now.
Good evening, sweet world, and welcome to the starters presented by Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 and Tennessee Honey. I'm J.E. Skeets, alongside me, as always, Tass Mellis, the Aussie, Lee Ellis, and over yonder, well, that's the bearded one, that's Trey Kirby.
Hey-yo!
Hey-yo!
Trey, what's up?
Well, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters, and if you've been following Dwayne Wade's retirement tour, you know he's been exchanging jerseys with an opponent after every one of his games this season. Well, over the weekend, Wade snagged his biggest prize yet, changing his number 3 Heat jersey for a number 1 Bulls jersey. That's right, not a player. He got Benny the Bull, the mascot's jersey. As Wade said, Benny's a legend, and it's true, he's already in the Mascot Hall of Fame, and lucky for Dwayne Wade, he wears a jersey, because not all mascots do, which brings us to today's question: which mascot would you trade clothes with? Earlier today on our podcast, The Drop, I gave my answer. The Cavs have that mascot, Sir Cece, who is a Cavalier, I guess.
Yeah.
He's got a really cool hat. I got to wear a really cool hat for our photo shoot not too long ago, and I think I'm going to start wearing big hats.
Yeah,
so that's the hat I want.
You can make it work.
Yeah, big head, big hat. Call me Carmelo Anthony, because I'm all about those hats in 2019, but we want to hear from you, so let us know on Twitter, which mascot would you like to trade clothes with? Send us your best tweets to #TheStarters. We'll hear from you later.
All right, get your tweets in. On tonight's show, we'll talk to 3D live from OKC. We got a supersized edition of Weekend Whoopsies. We've got the very solid play. But let's start tonight with checking the polls. It's been a while, and this is the segment where we ask you, excuse me, I got a bad cold tonight. The loyal starters fan, yeah, I need some tea.
Some Jack Daniels, perhaps.
Exactly, that would be great. We ask you, the loyal starters fan, to vote on some of the day's biggest NBA questions. So I turn it over to the poll master himself, TK. TK.
All right, DeMarcus Cousins made his Warriors debut over the weekend, returning from a torn Achilles to complete Golden State's All-Stars starting lineup. The Dubs won Boogie's first 2 games by a combined 37 points to push their win streak to 8 straight. So we asked the fans, who's most likely to win the title? The Warriors of the field. And guys, 79% of people picked the Warriors. Honestly, seems a bit low.
I think this shocked me. I thought it would be higher.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. I think if we had asked this before Cousins was even playing it on the team and looking all right in his first 2 games, it would be maybe higher than 79%, because the rich get richer here. That's all it is. And he did impress, especially in that Friday night game against the Clippers. He helps their offensive rebounding. He's a great passer. He sets great screens, which opens up some of the greatest shooters of all time with even more space. And then he can also hit the 3-point shot, which you've never seen really from a Warriors
That's what
center.
the Warriors need, some more 3-point shooting.
Yeah, I mean, right? So it does seem low, because it seems a little unfair.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing that DeMarcus has done in his time there back that has made you think that this could distract the Warriors from their goal of winning the championship. Yeah. He's slotted in there very nicely. He's been out, obviously, all season long, so they got his conditioning right, which I think is good, because he's a big guy and he moves heavily on the floor, but he looked fine out there. And I think all he's trying to do is slot into the Warriors lineup, try to be the nice guy, be the good guy, set screens, grab rebounds, do some of that hard work, and he's going to get rewarded at the other end. When he runs a floor, they're going to find him. They're going to give him a few opportunities, probably not in that first unit, that first sort of set, but as the game flows and when he's playing up against second units, I think that's his time to shine. And he's showing right now that he's more than capable of being the team player that the Warriors need him to be.
The common saying when talking about the Warriors these last few years is the toughest opponent is themselves. And I think right now, when you have DeMarcus Cousins on the team, that is clearly true. They are just too good. DeMarcus looks very healthy. And when you play the Warriors, you've tended to leave the center open. You know, when he sets big picks, whether it's Zaza or even Andrew Bogut over the years, you follow the shooters. Now DeMarcus Cousins gets the ball after that because he's open and because he's so skilled and he can make a play. I've been most impressed with his passing. He's been really willing to make passes. 18 minutes per game these first 2, averaging 4 assists in these 2 games. The guy creates space. The guy is so skilled, and he's willing to pass. And he's willing to, obviously, to pick and roll, something which, you know, he didn't do a ton of. The Warriors don't do a lot of whatsoever. They set a lot of picks to just get guys open and run around screens or pass and pass from the post. But DeMarcus isn't used to, you know, this type of play of setting a screen on the ball, but he looks really willing to pass from everywhere. Who do you leave now?
Yeah.
Now's the question. You really don't have an option. Draymond Green, I guess, but you're going to get killed.
I joked about it, but it does feel to me like the 98 Bulls replacing Luke Longley and Bill Wennington with a young Shaquille O'Neal. Like, that's the type of talent you are adding in a DeMarcus Cousins, a 25 and 12 type of guy. If he was not going to get to those numbers likely this year because of touches and because of minutes, but that's who he was early in his career here.
Yeah.
It's, again, it just feels unfair. And he is playing for a contract. I don't think he's going to be staying with the Warriors. No one really does. So he wants to show everybody else, hey, I am still a centerpiece that you can build around. Coming back from an injury like this for a big guy, which is scary. But so far, so good.
Yeah,
over
quite
the
a
weekend.
humbling probably situation he's in too, because he's always been the best or as good as the best player on his team. And now he's going to a situation where they don't need him as such, but he has to show that he can still play a role.
He doesn't want to ruin anything.
No,
by
exactly.
any means,
And all he has to do is go in there and do what he's asked to do. And he's got all of a sudden, because he's never had this sort of talent around him, now he can really show that he's got more to his game than just being like a guy who can go down the block and bully guys. He can actually show he's got some passing skills. He can defend. He can do everything like that. So he can only this can only benefit him long term if he accepts that role and plays it willingly.
Trey, our next one, my man.
Hey, don't sleep on Bill Wennington's 12-footer.
Hey, I love Bill
integral to the
Wennington.
Bulls winning 3 titles, 96 to 98. But speaking of the Bulls, their years-long pursuit of Carmelo Anthony has finally paid off, as Houston has traded for the future Hall of Famer. But he won't really be a Bulls. The team is expected to waive Melo before he plays a game, give him a chance to join a contender. So we asked the fans, which team will Melo most likely end up on? Lakers, Blazers, Heat, or somebody else? 59% of people think he's somehow going to end up on the Lakers with LeBron. I tend to agree.
What do you think?
There's mutual interest apparently, but I dispute that somewhat, because if there was mutual interest, the Lakers would have made the space available and probably would have taken him by now.
They don't want to waive anyone on the Lakers roster, according to reports.
So I wonder if in some ways Magic Johnson doesn't want it to look like LeBron is pulling the strings and saying, here, my friend needs a hand, let's throw him a lifeline.
Yep.
And the Lakers are weighing up whether or not Melo can come in there and disrupt things because he wasn't able to fit into the role that the Rockets wanted him to do. And Chris Paul's his good friend and he wasn't able to do it there. So I understand everyone does think he will probably end up at the Lakers, and that's, mathematically, I suppose, the most likely place. But I'm not sure that the Lakers really want to go down that road right now.
If there were a lot of suitors, he would have been somewhere already. He's been sitting out for 2 months. And I think the Lakers is probably the only viable option, unless, again, we've got these teams that are amongst the reported rumored teams. The Blazers or the Heat take on a chance. I just don't see it happening. If there were a lot of suitors, somebody would be doing it right now. The Heat, why would you take him on and to have another older scorer coming off the bench? You already got Dwayne Wade in that role.
Well, maybe, we keep talking about LeBron may want to help out his buddy Melo. Well, what about Dwayne Wade helping him out? And they have a roster spot open, so they wouldn't have to waive someone or cut someone like the Lakers, in theory, would have to, unless they do some sort of 2-for-1 trade. The Heat, like back in Summer League, was one of the teams talking to Melo and his reps after the Thunder buyout. So there's some history there. They at least kicked the tires around on that. I don't think it's that far-fetched. You're right. Now, is there minutes there? Can Melo give you anything? Maybe Melo can still win you a quarter, a half, or whatever in a playoff series, and the Heat will likely be in there in the East. So I would actually pick the Heat from this list, because I don't see the Lakers happening, because what you guys are saying makes sense. It would have already happened in theory, but they like what they're getting from their guys that are on their one-year deals, be it your McGee's and your Lances and your Beasleys and Rondo and so on.
But if they open a roster spot for whatever reason, if they make a 2-for-1 trade.
If they make a 2-for-1 trade, then fair.
I think that would be the only option, really, at this point. If you're the Heat or the Blazers, wouldn't you have already made it happen?
Yeah, you would think so. All right, final one, Trey.
We're smack dab in the middle of All-Star season, as starters will be announced on TNT this Thursday. As such, we're nearing the start of snub season, as there are only a few Eastern Conference backcourters who are locks. So we threw 4 of the best guards in a poll and asked the fans who's most likely to be an East All-Star snub. Eric Bledsoe, Kyle Lowry, Victor Oladipo, or D'Angelo Russell. 49% of people think Russell won't be getting the call.
Ooh, yeah,
I disagree with them.
You disagree?
I disagree. I think D'Angelo Russell is in, because it's when you do it which really stands out.
Timing
In the
is
month
strong.
of January, the Nets are 8-2. He's getting up 24.7 assists on 45% from 3. But he's also clearly been their best player and has propelled them into the playoffs. And I think that's going to sit well with a lot of coaches, because this guy was a misfit, sort of cast away from the Lakers. People kind of gave up on him. Spencer Dinwiddie got the big contract. And he's responded really, really well by carrying his team. And I think he gets in. I don't think he's going to be snubbed.
Look, he would get my vote right now, and we will make our reserve picks once we know the starters this Thursday on TNT and all that. But my worry with coaches when they make these all-star selections, they keep it pretty simple. They usually think of two things. One, was this guy already a former all-star? Yeah? Okay, well, that's good. And two, is his team good? You know, he contributes to a good team? Okay, that's good enough for me. And what I'm getting at here is like, guys like Lowry and Oladipo, Lowry especially, 4 All-Stars, Oladipo makes the last year, they're both on better teams than the Nets, that I could just see the coaches going, yeah, those guys are locks. Put them in, put them in, put them in. And then I get into your Bledsoe and your Russell where it's going to be much more difficult, I think. The way the coaches go about this, or their assistant coaches that fill out the ballot go about this, that I could see it being Russell, despite the numbers that he's putting up and the success recently that the Nets are showing. He would be in there for me, but I think he might get snubbed, unfortunately.
Yeah, sure. And to compound on that, a lot of the coaches go old school and they say, well, the Raptors are at the top of the standings.
Yeah.
We need 2 of those
Yeah.
guys. I wonder with the Bucks situation, do the votes sort of split between Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton behind Giannis Antetokounmpo? I wonder if, which one gets in. D'Angelo Russell, a lot of those coaches haven't even seen D'Angelo Russell, though, when he's
they're
been
noticing
smoking.
him now, though.
Maybe.
Because
I think you're overvaluing the currency, how much these guys pay attention to this month. Like coaches obviously have seen the Nets make their run, but I do think that they do go a little bit old school. Oh, this guy has been an all-star before and standing.
That's the Joe Johnson sort of rule that he got in because it's we know he's been a good player for a long time. But if you look at what Russell has done for the Nets, he's had those streaks where he's hit 7 threes, 8 threes, carried them, and it's turning into victories. It's not like he's just putting up numbers on a team that's like 8 games below 500 or anything. He's actually really taking that team first. And Kyle Lowry started off incredibly well, but he's really sort of struggled with his shot, and even the assists have dropped as well. So he might be the one just on the outside looking in.
It'll be interesting to see. Let's hear from you guys. Jump on Twitter, hashtag the starters with your reasoning. When we come back, 3D joins us live from OKC. Set up that juicy Blazers Thunder game. Don't go anywhere.